New at 10, America's housing market has a deep history of segregation. A big part of that is known as redlining. It's the practice of denying people access to credit because of where they live, even if they are personally qualified for loans. Historically, mortgage lenders would block Black households and other communities of color from accessing home mortgages, and as a result, home ownership for decades. The 1968 Fair Housing Act outlawed racially motivated redlining and tasked federal financial regulators with enforcement. In an attempt to address decades of racist housing policies, the Rockford Area Habitat for Humanity hosted a symposium on this very issue tonight. 13 WREX's Destin Howard was there for us. And Destin, what needs to happen to start making change right here in our own neighborhoods?
Brittany, that list of potential solutions is a long one, from advocating change on the local and federal policies to even taking action ourselves as everyday citizens. I spoke with tonight's speakers who study housing segregation. They explain how to challenge segregation enacted under the color of law and what those solutions would look like. Just Action is not only a book title, but a call to action to speak out against racial disparities in the housing market. Authors Richard and Leah Rothstein identified gentrification, redlining, and appraisal bias as current issues across the country, stemming from a long history of segregation.
So once we understand the history, once we understand that we have an unconstitutional system of residential segregation in this country that was created on a racially explicit basis by federal, state, and local governments. If we take our responsibilities as Americans seriously, we have to undo unconstitutional acts of our government.
In an attempt to change those policies, Richard Rothstein proposes a biracial civil rights movement targeted at racial inequality in housing.
Well, African Americans are the most seriously affected by the inequality that is created by segregation. But African Americans aren't politically powerful enough on their own in this country to undo it.
Another solution is making improvements to the current property tax system.
That homes in African American communities are overpaying in property taxes relative to how much their home is actually worth compared to homes in white communities. The only way to change that is to change how the county tax assessment system works through the county tax assessor, who can do more accurate assessments, more frequent reassessments.
But what action can people take now? The authors suggest taking part in paired tests, being able to combat discriminatory practices in real time.
So fair housing organizations do what's called paired testing. They send individuals who are posing as tenants or home buyers to seek out a home. They have similar qualifications, but they're different races, for example, and you can see how they're treated by the landlord or the realtor who's selling the home. And if they're treated differently, that's how we know when racial discrimination is occurring.
There's a form online shared during tonight's meeting where you can make a commitment to taking action against racial disparities in housing. We'll have that information for you tonight online. Brittany?